Thanks, Robert. Really appreciate the time you've taken with us today. Can you tell me, you've had a 10-year, or more than 10-year experience with Envision Utah, having been there at the beginning, have been the founder of the effort. What do you attribute your success to in terms of how you convened this effort in the very beginning? What were the keys to success?
I think at the very beginning there were three things that we planned to do which led to the overall success. The first was getting all of the right groups, all of the right people together to work together on the long-term future of Utah. The second was to start with our own community. What do people here really want long-term in their future for themselves and their grandchildren? The third was to plan a process where we would use scenarios, where we do essentially virtual crash dummies of the future and let them see what the region could be like in 25 and 50 years, and to choose from those, understand the long-term consequences of the choices we make.
And you did a unique thing in bringing business, government, and the civic sector together. How did that work? How were you able to bring those very diverse sectors that don't usually work together in order to accomplish this?
We did it by creating a sense of momentum, that there was a train leaving the station they all wanted to be on, that we were going to take the most wide-ranging look at Utah's future in maybe a century, and that if they missed this train, they'd miss a lot of fun, they'd miss an opportunity to use their influence and their knowledge for the good of the state and their children and grandchildren. And so as we invited people and described to them the process we were going through, they wanted to be involved. And we just brought together the very best and the brightest of the state to help us think about this, but to hold honest and true to a great process to involve the public.
So did you have ownership from the leaders of those three sectors at the very beginning of the process?
Yes, in fact, we told them we couldn't do it without everyone, and we weren't going to do it without everyone, so they had to come along, or we knew it would fail from the beginning. And so, yes, from the very beginning, there were people involved, even in the very early strategic days when there were just a few of us, from all of those sectors, planning about how to bring the full breadth of stakeholders together.
And looking back over the 10 years, what do you consider to be the biggest turning points in that time span?
I think the biggest turning points actually had to do with the public perceptions. The public knew very clearly what it wanted, what their values were, what they'd like the place to be like in the future. I think this was the first time they ever got to actually work on what that future could be like. And so with the hundreds of workshops we did where people worked on maps and designed the region was a great learning and growing experience for them, that there were choices. And then the major turning point was when we took their themes and their designs and played them out in scenarios and then showed them and said, in 25 or 50 years, these are your choices. And then we saw the public say, you know what, I can satisfy my values, I can protect and preserve the quality of life, I can bring the jobs we want for our children if we choose this course. And we came to almost a unanimous view about the future of the greater Wasatch area after we saw the choices. We found that people had very strong common shared values, which led to common outcomes, and then a lot of momentum to pursue those outcomes.
And did you feel that the private sector and the civic sector and the government sector did they feel like they had ownership in this organization that really wasn't a government organization or a private sector organization or a civic sector organization, but it was really an organization composed of all three sectors?
In fact, I'm not even sure they perceived it as an organization. I think they perceived it as a great big table where they were all getting together to solve Utah's problems for the future. And I think the ownership was first of the problem, and then of the choices, and then of the possible solutions. But I don't think they actually viewed us as a thing at the beginning. It was them coming together. We were just a facilitator and an integrator and a convener in the process.
But yet, in order to be successful, you really did need an organization,
right?
Didn't you?
We did.
Yeah. And as you formed that organization, how did you fund such a thing? There's no funding mechanism for that kind of organization.
Well, let me first say there was no decision that it would last longer than the visioning stage until the vision was created. And so there was no notion at the beginning of how long there would be an organization. That came later. The original budget was $1.5 million, and we reached out so that all of those groups coming together would have a little skin in the game. And a third of it came from foundations, wonderful foundations, mostly local. A third of it came from government. Half of that third came from the state government, buying tools we needed for the modeling. And then the other 1/6, half of the government money came from the cities and counties that were involved, and then a third came from businesses and private industries and so on that joined with us. So we wanted this to be a balanced process, so we set out to have balanced funding. So it looked like, in reality, as it was, nobody had control of the process.
As a leader of this effort in the very beginning, looking back now, what is the thing that you're most personally satisfied about?
I think Utah will continue to be a great place to live. I think my children and grandchildren will love the place and the legacy we're leaving them. That was what it was all about. It was about them. And so we're just excited for the beauty and spectacular community we have here, and that we hope will go on, and because largely due to this effort of all coming together to create a better place.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been great to be here with you.